What's up, YouTube? It's your boy back again, Jody motherfucking Keith, and I'm back with another story time. And I'm telling this story as we're leading up to Grand Prix Dallas. It's a team tournament, and I always focus on like team composition and like kind of catching the same wavelength as your team. I think it's real important that everybody's on the same page, everybody has a shared goal, and then that'll lead to the wins. You know, like everybody takes care of their own, help each other out, but everybody's like out there for the same reason. So the last team event I went to was Grand Prix Santa Clara, and I went out there with Julian John and Dan Ward, and these are two players that I'd never teamed with before. And I knew just from knowing Dan Ward that we were going to be like on the same vibe, you know, because like he's big, he's loud, he's out there clowning, I'm out there clowning. So I knew that dynamic was going to be good. And Julian John, I knew he would be good. He had just top 8 at a Grand Prix, so I knew he was hungry. So that's pretty important too. And I was hungry to try and win too. And the main event, basically, long story short, the main event, you know, we had a good time, but it didn't really pan out. A lot of the cards didn't fall the way we wanted. Then we played the PTQ on Sunday, and we caught a draw in the first round. Then we won, then we drew. And after catching that draw, it was just a hard sinker because we were going to win that game. We catch a draw, we're out of contention, you know, and now Julian's got to go catch his plane. So, you know, I walk him all the way back to the room. I kick it with him for a second. I'm like, yeah. And then I said, don't worry about it, man. We're going to go back in there. We're going to 2v3 these next cats. We're going to win this last round for you. He's like, well, if you're going to go win the last round, shouldn't you be going back? I said, listen, man, I just want to kick it for a sec, you know. He's like, okay. And so, you know, I kicked it with him for a second. Now, we went to time on this last round. So the next round's probably started. So I had plans of walking back into the building, walk all the way across the hotel, all the way across the convention center, go in there, catch a game loss, and then I don't even know if Dan's even going to be in the building, you know. So I'm like, you know, if I catch a game loss, I'll 2v3 these cats. Me and Dan will get them. So then I walk back after, you know, seeing Julian off, you know, dap him off and everything. I walk back and I'm like, you know, I walk in. I'm not running. I already know I got a game loss. I'm like, well, I don't think I'm going to get a match loss. It's going to be less than 10 minutes. So I walk in. I'm playing blue-green Merfolk deck. You know, we're playing limited. So I walk in and I'm like, see everybody sitting down. And I'm like, oh, shit. So I start walking towards where I thought our table would be. Instead of walking towards the pairings, I walk towards that. And then I look over, and I don't even know if Dan's there. And then I look, and I see Dan in a big red GoonSquad hoodie. And I look at him, he looks at me, and I'm like, all right. So then I roll up, and then I start walking. It was a purpose, you know. Then I roll up on him, and then I slide into my chair right when they're starting the round. So no game loss. And it turns out we got paired up, so these guys are playing for something. So it's like, all right, cool. So then we're shuffling up, and, you know, my blue-green deck had one rare in it, made all the creatures a +1/+1 unblockable, and then with a +1/+1 counter on it unblockable. Dan's got the red-black pirate deck with double cutlass, which is insane. So, you know, we get to playing, and then their third guy gets a bye because Julian's not there. So we're playing, and, like, the guy leads out. My opponent goes turn 1 Glacial Fortress. I'm old as 6. He's like, turn 1 Glacial Fortress. I'm like, oh, you got the rare deck. So then I play a land. Then he goes next turn land. He plays Argyle's Bloodfest or whatever, the rare that lets you pay life to draw cards and flips with the life total. And I'm like, oh man, you got all the rares. So then I end up hitting him with a 2-drop. Then he played a Bloodletter, and then I hit him with a 3-drop, tap down his guy. Next turn he played another Bloodletter, and I'm like, how am I gonna raise this Bloodletter? Plus he got the Bloodfest out here. And then next turn I'm just like, come on deck. And so I hit the Vine Shaper Mystic. I put the counters on the Vine Shaper Mystic and the 2/2 Merfolk, so I come with my unblockable Merfolk in with the 3/3, 5 damage. Next turn he plays a 4/4 Vigilance, lifelink, mythic. So he's like, rare, mythic. And I was like, oh shit, man, you gotta be kidding me. So then he decides not to swing with his flyer. I draw, hit my 5th land, play the 4-drop that makes my guys unblockable, +1/+1 counters on it, attack with everybody. Then I pass the turn, he draws, he attacks for 8, puts me down to 6. And now he didn't swing earlier with a 2/2 because he thought he was going to block. He didn't see my rare coming. So now I go to 6. He's got 4 in the air. All I got is a dive down in my hand and a Merfolk. And then he plays a Hostage Taker on my Hookmaster Merfolk, the little 2/2 Merfolk that Hookmasters. I'm like, dive down, end step, gotcha. I'm like, damn, dude, got all the rares. So I'm like, dive down, my little shitty comments. But I'm like, draw. And then I ripped the bounce spell. Now, he just attacked with his lifelinker. He aided me to 6. He went to 12. I'm like, bounce your lifelinker. Okay. Boom. play this Merfolk, grow my Merfolk, keep Perilous Voyage, another bounce spell on top of my deck, and then swing. But I swing, instead of swinging out, I swing him down to 7 so he couldn't flip his enchantment into a Diamond Valley. So then I passed the turn, he drew, and then he was like, I'm dead. And I'm like, he's like, I don't know how I died. I was like, I don't know how you died either, bro. That was fucking nuts. And then I look over, Dan finished his match. So then we shuffle up for game 2. And I look at my hand, it's got 6 cards, and it's missing, it's got 2 4-drops and a dive down with only 3 lands. And I'm like, man, this hand's terrible. And I'm like, whatever. You know, and I look at Dan's hand, he's got a 2-drop that can't attack unless you have an artifact with no artifact. He's got a 3-drop that is only good, it's got a raid ability, so it's only good if he attacked. So he's got a 2-drop that can't attack, a 3-drop that wants something to attack in front of it. And then he's got a 4-drop that deals damage to a creature, that kills a creature that was damaged. So it's just a big junk with 4 lands. And I looked at my hand, I looked at his, he's like, what you think, man, what you think? I said, bruh, you're going to hit it. I said, look what I'm keeping. You got to keep it. So you just get on that same vibe, same wavelength. And he's clowning his opponent. I'm clowning my opponent. We're all having a good time. Not in a bad way, but just making light of all of it. And so, you know, just blues and, oh, yeah, I got this. Easy game. Yeah, no problem. And then the cards come while you're talking shit. Oh, it's great. So I'm like, we'll get it. We'll get it. Whatever. I'm already thinking I'm going to lose mine. So then my opponent leads out with the Glacial Fortress. I draw. You know, I play my land. I drew the 4th land. I was like, whatever. So then he's like, turn 2. I'm like, there he goes with that draw again. Then he goes Swamp, and he's like, Bloodfast. And I'm like, same draw again, huh? And I'm like, geez, can't beat it with this hand. And then I drew. And then I played my second land. I got no 2-drop this time. Passed the turn. And then he draws. He goes Bloodletter. And then I untap, and I draw. I rip the Hookmaster Merfolk. So I'm like, Hookmaster Merfolk, you're Bloodletter. He's like, draw. He's like, Bloodletter again. I'm like, well, shit. You know, I don't think I'm going to be able to beat this. Then I drew the Vine Shaper Mystic or whatever and played it, put the counters on my shit, attack for 3, hit him for 3. Next turn, he marked the Vampire to this guy. So I'm like, oh shit. So then he 4s me, or 6s me and lifelinks me. So I'm like, man, that's heat. I need a bounce spell. And then at this point in time, I look over at Dan, and he played the turn 2 guy that can't attack unless you have artifact, and then next turn he just drew the Cutlass. So he's like, Cutlass for you. I'm like, so he's destroying his opponent over here. So then I draw, and then on 4, I end up playing, or on 4, I played the Divine guy, but on 5, I got the dive down, so I need the 5th land so I can do the dive down thing. So I catch my 5th land. Now, he doesn't have any blocker, so I'm not going to come with the +1/+1 counter thing, so I come with the other 4-drop I had that puts a +1/+1 counter on a Merfolk. So I played that, put the +1/+1 counter on the Merfolk, attacked in, smacked him a little bit. Then he goes draw, and then he tries to destroy my creature with the Vanquish. So I dive down. Got him with the dive down again. Now he's got the Bloodfast out there, and he lifelinked me. So then I end up catching a bounce spell for his lifelinker, which was pretty savage. Boom, bounce your thing, cracking him in. Then he couldn't really fight back, and I ended up beating his draw all over again. You know, but we were on that same wavelength, and then, you know, Daniel, he won his. You know, we just 2-0'd and won 2v3 against our last round opponent. It just was icing on the end of the weekend, you know. We had a lot of cards not fall right. It was nice to see everything work out and just having a good old time like we planned. And it really saved the whole weekend, that one match. But it's pretty interesting, you know, like the team events, you know. Really, when you play with your friends, it's one of the best formats. So I'm really looking forward to this weekend playing with Todd Stevens and Jim Davis. I've never played with Jim Davis before, and I've written an article in Star City about team chemistry and stuff, and so I'm really excited to see how that's going to work out. But yeah, I hope y'all are enjoying the team seasons, and you know, it's really great for Magic and kind of brings everybody together, which is really cool. Also, some props from that weekend. We lost all 5 of our judge calls, but then we won all 5 of our appeals. I'll tell you about those in another story time. But thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy this story, tell me about some cool interactions you had with some teams. You know, tell me the craziest team composition you ever had, deck-wise. You know, I played lands. We played Grixis Gorios in the middle of Mono Red on the standard side. You know, tell me what you think is one of the best team comps you've seen. Yeah, and I look forward to seeing you in the comments. Hide your kids, hide your wives, tell your friends where to find us, baby. GoonSquad, one love.